next 10 minutes. I missed you so much, guys. It's been a while, but it's been worth it. What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? Much love and respect to all the fans out there. Much love and respect to all the people of Uganda. Much love and respect to everybody out there who's watching Bebe right now. We're about to start and we have a few things to talk about, but it's going to be hot. Mu Luganda mbagala nnyo mwenna bannange fans bange n'emikwano gyange mwenna abaludde okundabako mbamisinga nnyo 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 nange mbadde nduddewo nnyo nnyo nnyo. Yes, naye kati nze twogeremu leero era nga tulina ebintu bingi bye tugenda okuba nga twogerako. nga bwe nnywa kalemon kano mu caayi. Yes. Genda kubanga twogera ku our main issue egenda kubeera ku mutabani wange Alan Shortcut Masengere. Egenda okubeera main topic yange. As earlier requested, I had sent you asking you if you had some issues you wanted me to talk about, and I indeed went through the post and I chose. And of course, you know, Bebe will always, bring it out straight and clear. So if you have a weak heart, well, if you're not ready, please don't join. Bobo omutima omunafu totwegattako. Be strong. These are very tough times, so we're going to have to still attack issues with, strength. We are going to talk about real things here, and I believe that is where the world should head. So, omutima omunafu, please, you need to get out. If your heart is weak, this is not the right page. Ebiruma abayaaye, yeah, you're now one. I love you all music fans. I love you all Ugandans, wherever, whatever category you are. Short, tall, fat, slim, beautiful. I don't know whether we have ugly people. Pam, how are you? Joy Chantel, what's up? Pam Pamela, big up, big up. Soldier Man, Joy Chantel, yes. Jonaiga, Subuga, Cleverson, yes. Susie Jingo, yes, I love you guys. Anyway, I think we can start now. Nana Gagamel, what's up? Chris Gagamel, yes. Mbagala nnyo mwenna bannange. Kansokere ddala okwebaza Katonda atuwadde obulamu okuba nti ffe abamu tukyali balamu. Let me first thank God for the fact that some of us are still alive. Because some of our brothers and sisters are not here with us. And, I'll be changing from English to Luganda, so that some people can be able to catch up with us. Um, but of course, I believe that most people, of course, can hear, English, because we have fans all over the world. So, our first topic is going to be the death of my son. You may say, most of you would choose to say you refer to him as my nephew, which had brought some controversy because I call him my son. And I would have preferred that the next time you always pay attention to reasons why people do what they do or why they say what they say. 30 years ago, or let me say about 32 years ago, I had a sister, an elder sister of mine, who I lost. This beautiful sister of mine was my favorite sister. By that time, I was about 10 years old. Now, my sister had just given birth to this little baby, and this baby was about 1.5 months. So within that 1.5 months, my sister had asthma. So one of those times there was a roadblock. I used to stay in Kanyanya. So on the main road, that's where my grandmama's house was, where we used to live in. So there was a roadblock, and I think there was an issue of thieves or something happened there, and then there was tear gas sprayed in the night. So because my sister had an issue with asthma, that moment she developed an attack, which all of a sudden took her life. I remember I was a very young boy when my mom walked out of that bedroom, because it was me, my mom, and that sick sister of mine in that bedroom with shortcut at 1 month and a half. I remember my mother walking out of that bedroom crying. First, before that, it was about 2:30 in the morning when my sister started asking my mother for water because she was feeling so thirsty. My mother refused to give her water because she always knew that people in such conditions, if you give them water or a drink, they usually don't survive. But my sister insisted and insisted, and she was crying until when my mother decided to give her just some little milk. And at that note, earlier, Shortcut was crying the 6 hours before that moment. The baby was crying throughout the last 6 hours before that moment. So what happened is my sister heard that the baby was crying, so she whispered to my mom and said, "Bring the baby and put the baby on my legs." So I personally brought the baby and put the baby on the legs, and the baby, who was crying for 6 hours non-stop without anyone knowing, all of a sudden decided to keep quiet. So at about 3:30, I had my mom come out of the bedroom crying. So I had to rush into the bedroom, and my mom had not good news anyway. Of course, as a mother, she was weak, and she had accepted that she has lost her daughter, because my sister was dying at that moment, and the baby was still on the legs. So I picked up the baby at 10 years and then walked out of the bedroom. And that began the journey of Moses Ali Bebe and Shortcut Alan. Now, for 32 years, this boy has been in my face. For 32 years. From that moment of 1.5 months when that boy lost the mother, that boy became my son. Those days there were no Pampers, there were nappies. Nze namusibanga nappi nga nina emyaka 10. So omwana gwe nasooka okulera mu bulamu bwange is Shortcut. So he was a very lovely baby, very, 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 you know, let me see, I'll get some pictures. I'll keep showing you a few things on my phone. He was a very handsome, lovely baby. Kwegamba nga toyina ngeri gy'oyinza butamwagala. Very quiet. Nga si muntu basically, I don't know how to say it. So this is Shortcut. Oba omulaba awo nga kito kiraba. And I'll show you a picture of my sister, and then you'll be surprised on how things happen. And this is my sister. You can see the resemblance maximally. These two look alike. So this was my elder sister, and she was my favorite, and she's the mother. So she died 32 years ago. So because I loved my sister so much, I felt like this boy Shortcut was always there to represent my sister. So that is now the journey. That's how the journey began. Now, Shortcut Alan Masengere ceased to be my nephew, and he became my firstborn. Now, many may ask, how comes it has not been put out there before? So many people have ways they deal with issues in their families, but Shortcut has been around me for all that time. But of course, as a young man, he had his own life. I remember when we got shot, when I got shot, he was also shot. We were in hospital together. We've gone through nearly everything together. I got a bit annoyed with him because he wasn't doing the things I was asking him to do, of course, as a father. But of course, as a son, he was a young man. He's a young man, 30 years old. He's in that age where he had things he wanted to do as him. But because, of course, I'm a bit older, I was kind of subjecting him to, to do what I want him to do. And those two never come together. So I got a bit mad at him. And Shortcut is a very quiet guy. So he kept quiet. But we've been in touch anyway until when the quarantine came in, when he joined a few friends there. But unfortunately, he stayed with friends who never communicated to us that the boy was sick. So until when this guy calls my wife and says, Shortcut is in hospital in Salama Road in a clinic. You guys come for your family member. So I was so much in shock and so angry for the possibility of having had my son sick somewhere, and responsible Ugandans knew that they were living with a sick person, and they never at any one time communicated to me. Here is a point when they are communicating when they cannot do anything. And they are even stating that come for your family member, come for your relative. For me, I cannot handle him. But rumor says that a few friends were with Shortcut before, and they could see that this boy was sick. But even then, maybe those friends I cannot blame, because you see the issue was they did not know how much, or maybe they didn't know, but somehow I think they knew. But all I say is, at least when you have people who are sick, please let the families know, because it's more or less not your responsibility when those people worsen. It's the responsibility of the family. It's very bad when you approach the family when it's late. So we have been in, when we were called, we went to Nsambia Hospital. I sent him to Nsambia Hospital, and we have been on that journey of Nsambia Hospital for 1.5 months. This is a very difficult time where, of course, the country is facing a lot of COVID-19. So there was a lot happening. The doctors, I personally went into Nsambia Hospital. I approached the doctors. We started on the young man. We did all kinds of tests. We did scans, MRI. The hospital did its first test of COVID, and everything was moving well until when they diagnosed tuberculosis on the brain. It was a bit difficult to find out what was wrong with that boy until when the diagnosis was final and treatment was started. I actually felt so happy when they told me that it was tuberculosis, because then I know my way around tuberculosis, and that I had people who I would call to consult. And indeed, I called Dr. Stavia, who is the head of NTLP tuberculosis at the Ministry of Health. I called a few more people to confirm. I knew about tuberculosis in the lungs. I know there's tuberculosis of the bones, but I had not known about the possibility of TB for the brain. So these are some of the things that were happening in that 1.5 months. So he went through a very difficult time until when he couldn't breathe. Then we went into ICU in Nsambia Hospital. He stayed in ICU for 5 days, and then he came out very well out of ICU. We went back to the ward, and the doctors were doing everything they could do. I personally decided to have shortcut in a general ward, not in a private room, because of several reasons. One, I felt like I should be close to where the many doctors and nurses were. And two, I felt like we should live a normal life like Ugandans and see what exactly happens in the general wards. Because of course you hear a lot negativity, most especially for Nsambia Hospital. There's a lot of negativity about it. So I said, no, let us stay. So we stayed for 1.5 months in a general ward in Nsambia Hospital. Now, events that lead to the death of Shortcut, first and foremost, when he was leaving the ICU, I called KCCA and I requested for a COVID test, my first COVID test. Of course, the hospital had done its first COVID test a bit behind, but I said that because there was 2 deaths of COVID in Nsambia Hospital that came, but those deaths came after my first request. I wasn't very sure about what's happening because so many people are entering into hospitals and you do not know what they are sick of. My fellow Ugandans, I want you to listen to me and listen to this part of COVID. We were in this hospital for 1.5 months. We were in the ICU for 1 week, 5 days, I mean. So I personally asked the doctors if it was okay for me to call the KCCA to come and take samples of COVID from my son weekly. Weekly. That is samples from him and samples from 2 bedside nurses. And they accepted. So the first sample was taken. When the first sample was taken, it came back after 4 days. It was negative. So now, those are two negatives. The first one was done by the doctors, which was negative. The second one also, that Bebe Cool did, the first that belongs to me, that was the second test, negative. So that negative, that's when we left and we went back to the ward. So 4 days in the ward, I again called the KCCA to come back and take another COVID test. So that is the test, the last test that was taken, and it was taken on Saturday. So when that test was taken on Saturday, last week, not this Saturday because today is Monday, but the other Saturday, we expected the results to be back on Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday. Now, we got a scenario where Shortcut had issues with the breathing. Remember, he was diagnosed with tuberculosis. And of course, these are the lungs. So I went deep inside. We did all the scannings, the MRI and everything. And I started asking all my questions until when the doctors explained to me all the way till the lymph nodes in the lungs for the possibility, because I was asking why Shortcut was having a problem with the breathing. And then I got the answers. And then I came out of the hospital, I called other doctors, and then they were explaining the same thing. Of course, patients with TB will have a problem with the breathing because it affected the lungs. Because first it was on the brain, but it was moving down in the lungs. So he was creating a lot of water in the diaphragm, one side of the diaphragm, that is one side of the lung. So they were sucking water out of him, and he was then okay. But remember, at the same time, he was creating a lot of sputum. Now, this same sputum, they could nebulize, they used to nebulize him, then the nebulization gas breaks down the sputum, and then they bring a machine to suck out the sputum so that the lungs can breathe easily. Okay? So, all these processes, I was there, I was aware, and we were going through the whole thing in my clear brain, with my clear brain. Now, last Saturday when they took the test, on Sunday, actually that same Saturday the boy was very fine, and then all over the sudden on Sunday, he was even better. He started to, to bonga, and basically he was back. He was back. And then came in Monday, the day when I decided not to go there. Was Monday, because I was asking the nurse, the nurses, the bedside nurse and the doctors, and they were telling me, no, it's fine. Every family member went there, and I remember, I'm going to show you a short video here of Shortcut on Sunday. This is, as I remember, they sent it to me and I sent it to my mom. I'll show you this short video so that you can see that this guy had actually moved positively. If you look well here, you can see that he had gotten a smile on Monday. He's back. Okay. Okay. That's actually one. I could also show you some clips. I'm going to show you another clip that shows you how bad Shortcut was before that. So this is one of the other clips. At this moment, so you can imagine from that to the other one where he's smiling. So the doctors had done a good job and we were following up. But on Monday, he got the breathing problem again on Monday evening. It was about 6 o'clock. They called me. They told me he's not breathing well. So I asked the doctors, is it okay? I come in and what can we do? The doctor said, no, we are going to go through the same thing. We are going to do the nebulization. And then we suck out, we pump out the whole, the sputum. So as we had done it before, I thought it was the same thing. So they did it and they kept on doing it the whole night. But Shortcut, the breathing became difficult and he needed at that moment to be put back into ICU. Now, prior, we wanted to take him to a different hospital, say Mulago Hospital, but Mulago Hospital had the doctor said they had no nurse for the ICU bed. We went to different hospitals, but they could not admit. Nakasero Hospital was full, and then Novich gave some silly lame excuses that I would agree because it's your private hospital, it's okay. But I think this is where also government is going to look into certain things quickly. Here I was told at Novich that they are servicing their machines in the ICU. But of course they were worried about the COVID issue, and that's why they did not take in the patient. So we were stuck in Zambia Hospital, and at the same time, Zambia Hospital, the ICU was closed at that moment because it had 2 patients who had died of COVID. So they had sprayed it and they had closed it. And of course, in suspense, you would expect that definitely the doctors and the nurses who are working in the ICU also are under quarantine. So that means the Zambia Hospital ICU was out, which is understandable. So when this was happening to Shortcut on Monday evening, we had no option of ICU until Tuesday morning. Is it Tuesday morning? Yes, Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, when we went to the hospital at about 5 in the morning, because he wasn't fine, he was tired. Actually it was Tuesday morning We went to the hospital, and that's when we, luckily enough, called different other hospitals, and I had the certificate that he was COVID-free. The other one that I told you about, that certificate was about 6 days old. So I believe it was valid. So my sister called Victoria Hospital, and Victoria Hospital asked if we had that certificate. And once we sent the certificate, they agreed to take in the patient because they had an ICU bed. So we started to prepare, and we left by 7:30 on Wednesday morning. We left Nsambia Hospital and we headed to Bukoto. Now, he was breathing and he was on oxygen in the ambulance. We left Nsambia, we came through traffic jam, we followed Ginger Road. The quickest route was through Lugogo bypass. Now, I was driving behind the ambulance. But remember, Lugogo bypass has humps that are invisible. This is where the KCCA is going to come in. And this is where I am also going to become a different person when it comes to the things that people in different offices must be able to do. When this ambulance, remember, when you have a patient, you're fighting, you're trying so much, you're telling the doctors to hurry, you're asking the ambulance man to drive quickly so you can make it, or your patient can make it to hospital. And guess what happened? The ambulance hit the hump, and whatever was inside is imaginable to everyone who's watching this. At that moment, it was my sister, one nurse, my policeman, and the driver on the patient, and I was in the other car. But I could see that the ambulance flew. That there's a hump between, there's a bar, what's the name of the hideout? Immediately after hideout, as you're heading towards Kila Road, that is from Rugogo. There's a hump, but it's not visible. And there's also two, I think they're about two, but you can't see them. So remember, the ambulance guy is rushing for your sake. So when they hit the hump, the ambulance stopped, and everything had jumped off the boy. So the nurse tried to put back everything. We spent there about 40 seconds to 1 minute and a half. And then we drove again quickly. Lucky enough, from there was no pothole or hump. And at that moment, the ambulance got to Victoria, and I parked quickly and I came up. That's when I could see that my sister's face was not smiley. And I believe that marked the beginning of all the trouble that we have gone through. Now, the doctors in Victoria Hospital did a very good job. They tried in every way. There were more than 10 doctors on this boy in less than 2 minutes. In less than 2 minutes, there were more than 10 doctors. Let me show you something. You need to be strong if you have to see this. Sometimes we do blame. I know Nsambia Hospital has been blamed for a lot of things, a lot of them. But sometimes we have to really appreciate what we get. We may not get exactly what we want, but I believe that we owe the people who sometimes work so hard to do for us what they do for us. I really appreciate what the doctors in Zambia Hospital did, and I really appreciate what the doctors in if you take a look at this photo shows you doctors and nurses on one person in an ICU trying to revive him. If you take a look, you can see that, okay, I won't keep that for so long. So our medical personnel are very willing to deliver good services. Yes, there are those who are not, nga bo bye bakola bali mu nsi ndala nnyo, naye in Uganda we have doctors and nurses who are willing nga ate bakozi nnyo. Where is the gap? The gap is at that moment going to depend, because now, after my boy died, we had no single idea that, of course, he was positive of COVID. Of course, we had the receipt, or the certificate. So how do you blame someone that you didn't tell me that my boy had COVID? I can't blame the hospital because the certificate was given to me. Now, I called in for a second test. Remember, that is Wednesday morning. The test was taken on Saturday. We are waiting for the results on Wednesday evening or Thursday. So that's when we did whatever we did. But because of the COVID situation, I decided we are not going to have a vigil in Kampala. Since he died in the morning, that evening, we headed to the village and we spent the night in Masaka. Of course, with a few friends. And you know the rules and regulations now, the SOPs when it comes to burial, a few people, lucky enough we were. So at about on Thursday, at about midday, that's when I get a call from KCCA telling me that my boy had contracted COVID. So, of course, it was up to me in person to now let all the mourners know and to talk to them well, to make sure that all of them, we don't have a panicky situation. And indeed, I had 2 certificates of the boy when he was negative. And neither was I going to argue that the boy had contracted COVID, because already I knew right now in Kampala, the COVID has surged. It is a very bad situation that we are in Uganda. I have seen so many people argue. I have seen so many people say that it doesn't exist. I have seen so many people, you know, it hurts. It hurts to see that our politicians, educated people in Uganda, are politicizing COVID. The situation that we have been hearing about in Italy, in the USA, could be knocking on the door. As I speak right now, my fans and friends, all the hospitals that were gazetted for COVID, all the beds are full as we speak now on this live. And the ministry is right now looking for ways. I believe by tomorrow, Nambole will be open, but Nambole won't take more than 2 weeks. It will be full. I can guarantee you that COVID is in existence. It is there. It is here. It is in the communities now. And it is because Ugandans, we refused to listen, to follow the SOPs. Someone may ask, how did the sick boy get the COVID yet he was COVID free? The nurses are the same that we keep calling. If a nurse has not checked on your patient, you feel bad. I made 1 million phone calls because I wanted attention from doctors and nurses. You're happy when a doctor comes to check on your patient, but it's the same doctor who's checking on all the patients. It's nearly the same nurses who keep checking on the patients the same whole week. So how am I going to blame a nurse for transmitting COVID to my patient? So the situation today as we speak, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I decided to talk about Alan's death, my son's death, is not because I'm the only one who has lost a son, or he's not the first person who has died, or the last, but maybe because God gave me the gift of being famous and popular, of having a following, that maybe if I speak about this, maybe it will do an effect for my fellow Ugandans to wake up again and listen and agree and believe that COVID is real and it is here. And it is in plenty as we speak. COVID yayingidde e Uganda mungi, mwali mu bantu abasukka n'emitwalo 15 babiri, mwali mu bannayuganda. Amalwaliro gajjudde we twogerera. Namboole bagenda muggulawo, naye I believe ne Namboole agenda kujjula in less than 2 weeks. Kakati okusaba kwange kumwe ababadde bagamba nti lwaki bakubidde essimu ng'omwana amaze kufa. Why did they call you after his death to tell you that he had COVID? They are politicizing. I even actually saw a video of a lady who lost a mom who had a heart problem and other issues. For that family, they are saying that their mother died of the heart problems. Yes, she had those problems, but the death was activated by COVID. COVID agenda kuta, it kills people who have those problems because it goes to the lungs and it creates breathing issues. So already when you have a problem with the heart and your lungs are infected with COVID that same second, you have less than 36 hours to live. Abalala mwebuuza mugamba nti muli mu malwaliro, you're in hospitals jumping, dancing, and the doctors are saying you have COVID. No, it is because you don't have the chronic diseases. So it is not affecting you that much. Effect just eri ku maaso go ne gafuuka red n'okolola muko wano because obuwuka bwa COVID bubeera wano weewati mu bulago. We busooka okwebaka mu bulago, bw'onywa ennyo amazzi agookya obusinga bukkirira mu lufuto ne bufa acidi. Naye bw'otanywa mazzi gookya wano mu bulago bwe buvaawo buyingira mu mawuggwe mu lungs kuba buba bumaze okuwera. Awo we buyingira mu lungs ne bulyoka bu blockinga. Kati woba obadde ne TB oba tosobola kuwona mu 36 hours. So ffe twali tukimaki nga tuva ensambya okudduka ku Victoria Hospital. Twali tugenda kufuna ventilator because singa twatuka ku ventilator shortcut yali badde mulamu ne bwe yali badde alina COVID. Kati ensonga nebanga already hampu etukubye. And you see Ugandans politicizing nti lwaki baga yafudde COVID. Ekyokubiri, breath ye efudde lwakuba COVID yazze mu mawuggwege eyabadde ateredde eggulo. Okitegeera, eyabadde ateredde eggulo kubanga eddagala ya TB yali alimazeeko the first 2 weeks Usually when you do the first 2 weeks of medication eya TB, there are things that happen. Signs eziraga improvement zibeera obvious. Secondly, oba tokyasiiga. So improvement eno gyembalaze nga smilinga, iyo improvement yali afunye 2 weeks after the medication ya TB. Naye nga of course yali vulnerable to COVID because obulwadde bwe bwali mawugwe. So kati yenna yamukwatako omusawo oba nurse n'abumusiiga, bwagenderawo mangu mu mawugwe kuba gaali vulnerable. That's why yamala night number nga lwana n'okussa, naye nga ate ICU y'ensambya yali nzigale. Ne tufuna ICU y'enzigule ku makya ne tutasobola kutuuka lwa hampu, naye twali tumuvingidde ki okuva ensambya, omwana nga contractinze COVID nga amublokinze amawuggwe. Twabadde mu kuziika ne batukubira essimu we batugambye nti yafudde COVID. Nebaza nnyo bakwano bange mwenna kuba mwasigadde, abantu bange bonna basigadde, abasawo ne bajja ne tuziika bulungi nnyo. Mutabani wange yebase bulungi nnyo, ne tuwuliriza SOPs ze batuwadde, naye ffenna nga bwe twavudde e Kampala ne batukebera. Now, jukira nti I had also tested for COVID because we used to go. Ffenna nga bwe twagendanga okulambula, abasirikale bange babiri, my 3 sisters, my wife, kwegamba ffenna nga bwe twagendanga mu ddwaliro. Bwe baamala okukebera omwana test ya Saturday, naye mbayita ewange ewaka ku Sunday, ne mbaga naffe mutukebere kuba nnina abaana ewaka, saagala kujja bulwadde mu ddwaliro mbuleetewa ewaka. So we also tested from home on Sunday. Now, on that day, when they were giving us results, I mean when the boy was dying, I also got my results back. The ones that I took for Sunday, I got them back on Wednesday. All of us were negative. Now, the 2 nurses, and I want you to listen to me carefully, the 2 nurses who were on the bedside of my son, one of them was negative and one of them was positive. He could not believe that he's positive. So I had to really speak to him. I had to really convince him. As I was talking to the authorities of KCCA, we managed to agree. And then he directed the KCCA to where he was staying. They picked him up and they took him to Mulago Hospital. On the way to Mulago Hospital, the man called me and told me, I'm feeling very weak. I'm now coughing. I'm dizzy, my head is heavy, and my nose, I can't smell anything. I told him, thank you for agreeing to be picked, because he did not believe, because he's the one who was with my son for 1.5 months, night and day. So him to be convinced that that my son died of COVID, unless if he had gotten COVID. Now, the day they picked him that same afternoon is when he started all the major signs of COVID. And as I speak, he's in Mulago Hospital and he's thanking me for having convinced him to accept, because more and more signs came when he was in Mulago, and now he's being, of course there's no specific treatment, but there's monitored treatment of boosting immunity. And the main reason why they take you, the main reason why positive people have been taken in Uganda to hospitals or to isolations is to minimize transmissions. It wasn't majorly to treat, but it was to minimize transmissions. But unfortunately, Even as we are speaking today, I hope the ministry is watching me, and I hope Uganda is watching. The game plan has changed, or the game plan should change. Let us agree that Ugandans now have COVID in the community. Let's say there are 5 million people or Ugandans in Kampala during the day, and let's say there are 1 million Ugandans in Kampala in the night. So if 200 or 300,000 Ugandans catch COVID, we don't have those beds in Kampala. The game plan has changed. We don't have those facilities in Kampala. We don't have the money to build those facilities now. The president used to talk about these things. What is supposed to happen? My advice, my prayer to the ministry, to Madame Acheng, please change the formula. You can no longer take the positive people. Start new awareness. Prepare to start quarantining people in their homes, because you will not manage to quarantine people who are as strong as I am, as they've done videos in Mulago Hospital and all other places when they are dancing. Yet the badly off ones are about to start. The ones who are not breathing, like my brother, he would have gotten a bed in Nakasero Hospital, but Nakasero was full. So if Mulago gets full of people who are dancing and playing music, yes, they have COVID, but that type of people should be quarantined from their homes, so that now the hospitals are cleared for the ones who move to step 2 of the sickness, because it may not be so long from now that Ugandans are going to start dropping one by one by many numbers. So we need, I'm thinking and I'm praying, I may not be a doctor, but with the good common sense that I possess, these medical facilities should be prepared for the people who cross the line, who have breathing problems. Otherwise, the transmissions are now permanent. They are moving. Ugandans have refused to follow the SOPs. Now you have nothing to do. You just have to now save those who cross the line. And now let the awareness go back to where it started. Now, what awareness? Boosting immunity. It is time to tell Ugandans how to boost their immunity and reconfirm to them that when you boost your immunity, you will not get sick of COVID. Or if you have COVID, within 10 days, it will be clear of your body if you boost your immunity. And boosting immunity is a few things that we are lucky as Ugandans. Most of those things are surrounding us. Oranges, lemons, tangawuzi, garlic, all these things. Whatever Uganda, whatever you are listening to from Europe, okuva mbaganda bafa America ne Bungereza nga babagamba okweyoteza okola biki, banange akadde katuuse. Corona atuse ali wamwe. Remember, we don't have enough test kits. We don't have enough, governments don't have enough test kits. Someone will come and say, nge Tanzania babireka ne bitambula. Yes, they accepted. Some people will live, some will die. That is the cost. I was talking to Isaac Ruchi. I want to thank Isaac Ruchi. Webale kuvayo Isaac Ruchi nokola ka video, because now it is up to us who are facing it okuddamu okuzaamu abantu belief after politicians making people think that COVID is politics. Now it has come. And who is going to die? Omuntu wa bulijjo, omuntu wa wansi gwobadde ozanyirako nti Museveni ali mu bya politics wa COVID. They are even doctors, they are responsible people. Ekisinga okuluma abantu abategeevu abasomyeko kwe kuyimirira mu mikwano gyammwe ne mutandika okuga nti ebyo ebintu bya politics kulya kasente. Yes, waliwo ababbye esente za covid naye omukulembeze kyagamba nti covid mutuufu gyali banaye gyali. Muleke kubuzaabuza abantu ba wansi, bantu ba bulijjo. Kati obulwadde buyingidde ge mazima. Era kati buli muntu alwala mulekerawo okwekweka tuveeyo. Isaac Ruchi webale, thank you for coming out. Thank you omusirikale yani alwadde enagulu Afande Hassan Kasinje, thank you so much. Webale okuvaayo, because now the trend is people are keeping quiet. Nina omuntu omuyeka gwe ngenda okwogerako naye nkusaba naawe oveeyo. Mukwano gwange okola ku NBS oli mulago naye nga munnamawulire yenna alina amazima nti kati naawe ali owakana kati ng'otuula ku TV nga nkulaba obuuza ebibuuzo mbu lwaki omukulembeze kino lwaki kino olw'okuba munyumirwa abantu abawakanya gavumenti. Kati ku ssaawa eno oli mulago. Oli mulago okola ku NBS mukwano gwange gwe. Njagala oveeyo obulira abantu nti oli mulago bakututeyo 2 days ago. You're my best friend. Tubeera twogera ku simu. Let us save Ugandans by reassuring them the danger of COVID. Ensi yaffe njavu. Ensi yaffe tesobola ku maintaininga bintu ebyo okujjako nga twogedde amazima ate ne tu awareness ne tugirinyisa. So ensonga yange yabaddeyo okwogera ku mutabani wange okufa kwe. Osobola okulaba nti nno covid agenda kutta abantu bangi n'abatalina covid bagenda kufa naye ng'ekibasse covid. Kubanga bw'oba olina ekizibu ekyokussa ng'olina asthma teri ddwaliro ligenda kukukwatako okuggyako ng'ogenze mu ddwaliro erina covid. Naye okutuuka mu ddwaliro erina covid ogenda kubanga olwedde ebitanda byaggwawo. Omuntu yenna agenda okufuna obuzibu mu breathing tagenda kuwona. Naye ebyo byonna bijja lwaki? Bijja lwakuba Bannayuganda ba politicians bateeka ekintu mu Bannayuganda nti no muzeeyi abazanyirako politics. Muzeeyi alina emyaka egisuka mu nsanvu talina nsonga lwaki yalibadde azanyisa abantu ate be yasevinga mu myaka 35 emabega ate abaleete ate abasanjoge olw'obulwadde. N'ayogera buli kiro n'abyogera ebintu feke nnyini Abannayuganda olw'okubanga tulina bye tweyagaliza. Bannange mwakoze bubi. Mwakoze bubi nnyo okuteeka ekintu ekyo mu bantu kubanga abantu okubakkirizisa buto nti covid waddala ffenna tugenda kuba tulina okweyambula buli lunaku tutambule nga tugamba abantu. So ensonga ezikwatagana ne covid zezo. Covid is there, it is real. All you famous people, please come out. Mwogere eri abantu, bwe mwekweka abantu tebajja kukkiriza. Nammwe ba politicians b'NRM abakuŋŋaanya abantu mwe musinze okuleeta obuzibu. Omusajja ali ku TV ekiro n'emisana agamba Bannayuganda temukuŋŋaana. With all due respect, mwenna mukimanyi nti Abannayuganda basobola okuwuliriza Museveni. Naye gwe n'okulyetingawo akantu akaleeta dawutu ng'ate dawutu eyo tosobola nagijja mu bantu. NRM politicians ne mukuŋŋaanya abantu nga mukimanyi nti nno kigenda creating ku ssaawa eyo ne bw'oba tosiize bantu tebeesize naye kigenda creating doubt mbwa nga twakuŋŋaanya kitegeeza si bituufu. Kwogatta ba politicians abali ku opposition nabo nga bagamba nga bakuŋŋaana ebya scientific election tubijjewo kwogatta aba bagamba nti Museveni alimba balya ssente. It all comes from empulunguse eziri mu NRM ezimu eziganye okutegeera nti Abannayuganda bali willing okuwuliriza naye naawe following amateeka. As we speak mbadde nzijanjaba mutabani wange era ndi mu self isolation, twakafuna test 2 zonna ziri negative, tubuzayo kufuna test endala 2 self isolation. N'emikwano gyange gyonna abasinga bali mu self isolation, and that is what should happen bw'oba ng'obaddeko mu exposure. COVID nyinza okugira nga mulekaawo, naye nsaba ministry mutunuulire mangu ekintu ekyokulaba engeri gye mufuna SOPs ez'abantu okusigala awaka. Namwe abalina families bw'olaba omuntu nga batugambye okusigala awaka nga waliwo ewatali COVID ng'osobola okuteekayo famire yo nga gy'okizza ng'eno ennyumba osigala obeeramu wekka. Bannaye mwetegeke, ekintu kyasajjuse. It has surged. Kyasajjuse. The word surge is in English. Lucky enough ne mu Luganda kyasajjuse. COVID has come to Uganda and we are going in October, November, omwezi ogw'obunnyogovu. COVID moves so much in the cold. So that month of November is not going to be good. Era kati ne bwe mulaba enkuba etandise okutonnyatonya ebyekisiru, njagala kwebaza abalonzi ba NRM mwenna mwebale nnyo okuba nti no mwalonze abavubuka. Nzija waabo naye bannange abakulembeze be NRM tuleme kuswaza Museveni, tuleme kukola bintu kwegamba oba Kamiliyoni yakayimba apanga bapangulula Zwena ani oyo si Kamiliyoni yayimba akayimba ako. Museveni apanga mwababe mwe mupangulula. It is difficult, sincerely speaking. What will you say to the people? Obululu bajja bubawa, but keep them safe. Tewali nsonga lwaki mubakuŋŋaanya. Museveni agambye kale campaigns okulonda sijja kujjawo, democracy ye leading factor, naye nsobola okukuuma ku bantu first afaayo ku bulamu bwammwe. Then n'agamba nti bw'anajjayo ebyokulonda mujja kuba kerere n'abirekawo. Naye ate at the same time kiringa kwetabulira ddagala lya butwa. N'otuuka bbali n'ogamba ye bano abasajja abakola ebintu bino singa campaign baazijjawo bujja completely. So COVID gyali banaye Bannayuganda baganda bange mbegayiridde nafiiriddwayo omwana ensonga ya COVID. Mbabulira amazima omwana oyo ekyabandazisizza okuva mu buto bwe ne mbabulira story eyo lwakubanga pain y'amaanyi. Si yasoose gwe nfiiriddwa naye kyannumye nnyo nti afudde COVID wamu ne TB. Nsaasira abantu abalina abalwadde ab'emitima, abalina zi pressure, abalina endwadde zonna ezikwasaganya n'ekifuba kyo, abantu abalina low immunity, alina sickle cells, abalina ki. Kati obulwadde buli mu bantu bammwe abakola mu zi supermarket, ntinda bukoto kamokya bugoloobi biki. Omuyindi yafudde eggulo ebugoloobi mu flats. So nammwe kenyini abali ku opposition ababadde mu muzannyo guno banaye mbasaba yadde sinze sirya nammwe sikiriziganya nammwe naye tukiriziganye ku kintu ky'okusevinga obulamu, tukiriziganye ne muzeeyi. Ekintu yali akikutte bulungi okuva mu ntandikwa. He is being frustrated by two types of people. The people who are giving confidence to Ugandans nti COVID taliiyo and the thieves in NRM. Ababbi kwenga seneba na bakunganya abantu. It is frustrating. Omusajja apanga mupangulula. Nze nwaniride NRM nenjiwawo omubiri emyaka gyonna. Naye teri kintu kirumanga kubanga ozimba bazimbulula. Be bali mu office be bafuna emisaala. Nze sisasula musaala sikola ki, I've lost funds. Naye kirungi nti aba NRM be basinga obungi. Era lak gye nnina yeeyo. Naye nga ate ne bafaani bange abankyawo olw'okuba nti nsupportinga NRM. Nabo bafaani abo kinnuma muli nti oluusi kinnuma kuba baali badde bonna weebali. Naye nakikola lwa bulungi olw'okuba omusajja byakola bituufu. Naye ate mmwe abakola ebintu ebiri obvious ne bitulabisa n'obulwako ne wogambira nti wano Museveni mulungi olw'okuba omuntu wa Museveni ye yakikoze ekintu ekikyamu. Some of us are so intellectual. We are educated. Nze nasoma PCM na Vema College Senior 5 nengende college kuba nagana kusala nviiri. Sava yero kuba nali dance nga be mutegedde abo. PCM is physics, chemistry, mathematics. Natule ebibuuzo byange era mmwe nzijja ku side eyo ebintu bye mwabadde mulegesa. Ngenda kulumba side 2. Side yaka akasajja simanyi ke kamabirizi akakaleeta ezo zi fake news ezo abantu basobola Bobi Wine asobola okutrendinga ng'ate mumanyi kye mukola. Senior 6 najituulira Kololo SS mu 1998, and if Bobi Wine is younger than me nga bwe mubadde mwogera bulijjo, then tasobola kuba nti yatuula 98 nange mu mwaka gwe gumu. Namuleka kitante nga ndi Kololo Makere College School mu senior 5 ngali kitante below my friends even ngali mu senior 3. So kati atajja ate n'atuula nange senior 6 same year. Ako kabadde kazanyo kamwe mwakafunyeemu n'atrendinga, sisobola kumulumba fuli naye nja kulinda empapula za na submitting nga ayesimbawo ku bukulembeze. That is wanaba anagenda ku ballot paper. Kubanga omuzannyo gw'endabyo oguliwo guli nti mwe abawagira Bobby bamabirizi mmwe mumunoonyeza excuse eya public sympathy. Public government yalemeseza Bobby okwesimbawo ku bwa president. Asobola okugenda giri emyaka 5 adde asome nga bano bagabambi bamulemesa, kale katumulinda asome tujja muwaluli. Akakazanyo twakategedde kubanga mukimanyi nti omulundi guno Museveni ekintu yakikuba akikute bulungi, everyone is satisfied with the man. Ate ekyokubiri temuyina sente zigenda kwetolola mu scientific. Ekyokusatu temuyina best Mugisa muntu yabagamba ngokola structures. Temuyina structure. So kati ebintu mubirabo obudde buyise. Munoonya we bagambira nti government yeya panze era ne bagamba teyasoma ne bamudisqualify. Akakazannyo nakalabye dda nonsense. Why didn't you wait until when he presents his papers? Nolaba bipapula ki byataddeko. That's why abasirikiridde naye kirungi be batono be basiru. Sorry batuganye okuvuma, nsaba kisonyo. So mabirizi gembera mwegendereze no NRM tugisupportinze naye twagala okusupportinga tumaye yes wenzo kwato gisupportinga naye muleke kuzunza bwongo bw'abantu abatalina bwongo buwera kulaba mission ngezo. Bemba mwagala okuchallenginga ebipapula by'omuntu bagenda mu electoral commission oba bagenda mu UNEB. Bobi Wine yasoma senior 4 aba yagituula yafuna certificate ya senior 4 je yakozesa okugenda okufuna okusoma diploma Makerere kuba kyali kikirizibwa by then nti omuntu osobola okukozesa senior 4 certificate n'ogenda n'osoma diploma Makerere. lwaki mubuzabuza abantu munonya obubozibozi era namwe abawagizi ba NRM ba bloggers aba NRM mulekerawo okumala gabuukira buli kintu ekivaayo. Focus on issues. Issue etuli at hand is COVID. It is at hand. Not just because muina bugundi babuyita budata ne mufule ebintu ebitali magezi mbozi oli ne mbera nga mumuwa buwi platform mumule kafireyo mwe mwogere ku nguudo mwogere kumala kati tutandika okulwanyisa amalwaliro gali bubi tudde ku malwaliro. Lwaki twogera kubali nga tebalina kye bagenda tukosa? Njagala kwebaza abavubuka ba Uganda mwenna, the youth. I am so proud and you're the reason lwaki nasazeewo nkomewo, because the youth mukulonda mwalaze nti no bye tubadde twogerako bulijjo nti ebintu by'obukulembeze bisaana abantu abali educated, bisaana mu engaging ba youth. You have engaged, mwa engaging bulungi nnyo, mwayingidde obukulembeze abasomye. Ekyokubiri, mwebale kwewandiisa ate mwebale kulonda. It is unbelievable nti no Uganda omuntu abadde asobola okubeera e Bulaaya nakkirizisa abantu abali e Bulaaya nti no Uganda yonna teyagala Museveni oba teyagala NRM. Naye ku ssaawa eno abavubuka 79% bakulaze nti no they have been listening to the message we have been selling to them for the last 10 years. NRM, but it is a mother party. Oluvanyuma lwa Muzeeyi Museveni ne banne ffe tulina okujjawo abavubuka tetugenda creating a parties mpya. Why create new parties when original parties ezina structures ezina buli kimu in place nga weziri? All they need is educated people and sincere people abogera amazima abatabba abatakola ki. So we have to save the NRM party. I'm very happy ntino neba voters register very unbelievable and amazing. About 13 million people nga balonzi be NRM bali mu voters register ya NRM eri up to date. Nga ate electoral commission eina balonzi abatasuka milioni 18. Kati oyinza okwebuuza Bebe kulu lwaki yali asirise, lwaki abadde asirise. Kasita namala okumanya nti abavubuka ne bannayuganda bateredde entende ku Muzeeyi Museveni, bateredde entende ku NRM nti ne Museveni ne bw'aba avaawo they are willing to take on the party positively. Kasita nalengera ekyo ne ngamba kati sikyetaaga kuleekaana, just kati nina kugenda Sato ne baganda bange abasigadde eri bensobodde okwogerezeganya nabo, njogerezeganya nabo bajje ebirowoozo byabwe bisobole okuwulirizibwa bulungi, because tewakyali nsonga ekaayana. Sincerely speaking, voters register ina abantu milioni 13 ng'ate general election gundi electoral commission ina abalonzi milioni 18. Oŋŋamba otya nti nno bajja kunsinga? Kati lwaki mmala obudde mu kulereŋŋana? So abantu abogerera NRM mulekeraawo kuba propaganda, mulekeraawo kulereŋŋana. Reason and focus on issues. Mulekeraawo okwagala bampaane. Katonda atuwadde aba NRM nti kati buli kimu kitambula, enguudo bazikola, ebintu bibadde bitambula bulungi, ziddaamu, amasannyalaze. Ani sinawulirayo muntu agezaako kunnyonnyolana kugamba bannayuganda what's mekaze tulina ez'amasannyalaze ekireetedde factories ennyingi okuleetebwa e Uganda nti nno mu myaka 5 okuva kati mwana Adamu ajja kuba real takaaba nnyo mirimu. Engoye ezaali ziseerebwa kati ez'abakazi nze bukyanga mbeerawo sirabangako. I have never seen adverts like the adverts I have seen during the lockdown period. Ezengoye abana bawala dera simanyi kano fashion chi singa teyali covid singa tebadde period eno temwali badde creative like that. Let us focus on those things. Bobi Wine mumuleke. Bobi Wine tachai musajja watu yagwawo mumuleke. Leave him alone. He's also doing what he's practicing, the same democracy that was brought by Museveni. Abana Uganda bebalonda multi-party system. Bwaba tayagala NRM mumuleke. Kati watu nsobola baga mulekerwa nsonga kati tuli sure. Tumaito mega ate n'oluma. Bobi Wine is the good example of the democracy that Uganda will have. Bamuleke yofa. It's okay. Baba sikira besije yesowani ajirirideko okumala emyaka emeka. It's okay ne Bobi agenda ajirireko. Naye nga tetujja mu wansi. Tetujja mu wansi lwa nsonga tagwanidde. Sindi lwakuba talina right eyo. No, tagwanidde. Naye nga alina right ye yesimba mu bintu because ye democracy y'omugwe bateekawo. So why focus on a loser? Why don't you focus on a winner? Mzee Museveni bonabo nengera banaba bakusobodde okukikugamba naffe abawagizi bo tubeera frustrated by the people who surround you and still n'obulwako defending NRM. The people who surround you and do obvious mistakes publicly. Nobeere n'ogamba abantu oku social distancing n'olaba omuntu w'NRM nga ajjuza abantu. Though namwe ba blogger abakuba NRM namwe muyina akazannyo mwatandise okuleeta bu videos obwa campaign obukadde mubuteekayo mbu abantu balowooze mboyo NRM yakoze campaign nga ate bukadde. Toyinza kuŋŋamba nti otaddeyo ka video abantu bali 100 temuli n'omu alina mask n'omu. Afadhali omu wali mukutenga alina mask kubanga 5 years ago it was impossible for anyone to put on a mask during a rally. So for you to give us proof ntino ya kunganyiza abantu nonyayo omu gwakwata ka video wekwatireko bwoti nga gwoyambadde mask naye propaganda gwe muzanya still yakyatuleetera obuzibu. Ojeyo ka video akakadde akedda okaleese oyongera kuteeka confidence mu bantu nti ebya covid bya kiyayi. Ensonga zange nzibawadde ez'okuba nti mbadde na pullingamu out. Yes, in brief, I pulled out because there's no need to continue boxing a person who has already gone on the floor. I rather spend that energy to recreate, to regain my energy. Era mbadde mu plans nyingi. Waliwo abamu ababuuza nti bakugoba mu NRM, bakugoba ku State House. Emyaka 42 nali nsuzeko mu State House. That's where you're mistaken. Nebe bana babangobe mu NRM abawagizi bange aba people power. Ngenda nabayita abawagizi bange aba people power. I am never intimidated and I'm never moved by cheap talk. Nebwe balingo ba Museveni alinya kazinda nagamba oyo mwana mubbi na mugoba simwagalira. Siri joininga opposition ya Uganda. You thieves who lie to people of Uganda who are in pain. Noli okuba tunulira bonna bali mu kwesettinga babaddewo nabo babadde mu zitaamu baludde mu parliament bali mu kwesettinga kudda mu parliament nabo bali mu taamu yakuna bafa ku musaala omusaala Abannayuganda abalaba mmwe mutunule mu constituencies zammwe mutandike okuwandika ebintu bye babakoledde. So mwe abagambye tubuulire ku kya Museveni oba yagoba kanti kumalire bwenti nti ne bwalinga oba siriba joininga nja kusigala mu NRM naye nga ye gwe siraba mpaka lwali mpita because si lwakuba ye no lwakuba vision njiraba etambula bulungi nabanyonyola vision eyo nenjibagamba nze njagala nnyo omuntu okundaga gyendaga n'amaaso gange we gakoma nemba nga ndaba beyond kubanga naturally nakiraba nti nno si byangu. Governing a country is not easy. Okugoverninga omunauganda si kyangu. Enensi gyevudde 40 years ago ebadde mu ntalo n'olyoka olaba emmese zigigerageranya ne Tanzania ne Kenya. Balwana civil wars mmeka in the last 100 years. Naye nze bwe ndaba nti nno omusajja akoze ziddaamu zigenda kuleeta amasannyalaze agabe ettaka nga waliwo amasannyalaze omuzungu ajja akole factory. Omuzungu bw'akola factory omunauganda atunde ebintu ku kkubo ebintu bibe chipa mu Uganda ate tukole ne exporting. Kati kwekyo bw'oyongerako amafuta nga gateredde economy teyinza butatereera about 60 to 70% better than it is today. But for the economy okutereera bwetyo era kyetaagawo obudde. Kyetaagawo obudde. Togenda keera ku makyambolo okuba yagatundire yesterday ti amafuta era kale. Nembagamba nti kyali very important for the country to have security as its first priority because without security toyina kintu kyosobola kola. N'amalwaliro ne bozimba gafaanana ng'eggulu olw'okubanga wabeerawo insurgency bagakuba abantu tebasobola kutambula kugenda wa mu malwaliro. So the roads became even more nga priority osooka security. Okay, bw'omala security nodda ku nguudo nodda ku education kubanga enguudo ezo ziyamba abantu okutambula. Webataba nguudo babatemula steel ne bwoba okutte security etya. Ekyokubiri abalwadde tebatuuka mu malwaliro. Ekyokusatu abantu balina okugenda okufuna information kuba tetwalina technology. So nozako education ekuyambi lwaki esooka health. Education esooka health lwa nsonga it is prevention is better than cure. Togenda basomesa knowledge yonna naye baweeko akatonotono akabayamba okumanya nti omuntu bwakwata mu bbi n'alya emmere alwala oba omuntu buli lwava mu tooyo anaabe mu ngalo oba omuntu n'ayiga okubala. That's why that universal education was very crucial. Okusoma oyinza okulaba ng'Abannayuganda batasoma naye bannaye bategeera. Kyova olaba mu kikubu wajjudde abantu abatalina degree naye nga bagagga bali healthy balina sente. So kyova olaba nga education yalina okujja before the health system. Kakati nodda ku bantu aboogera yes I will join you Bannayuganda mwenna mbasuubiza ekintu kimu. I will never favor any NRM member yenna akwatagana no corruption n'obubbi because nange nkoyo kuba defendinganga nga ndabika nsajjula busajjuzi biwundu by'abantu Abannayuganda. I will defend NRM and I will attack all the hypocrites in NRM. Kusaawa eno yes muzeeyi kati osobola okutunuulira ku economy nti erina okufuuka unfortunately aba akyabirwanyisa covid najja. Covid akubye buli economy ya buli nsi. Kyokka nga kyetubadde tulina okuzzaako ye health system. Abagenze mulago munjulira abagenze malwaliro agali different munjulira nti no health system ebadde etandise mpola. Mumanye ensonga lwaki baali balina okutujjako zi ID ne batujjako ebinku mu biki bagenda biconnectinga byonna ne zibanka byonna n'amaaso bagenda biconnectinganga kyangu nnyo omuntu okubeera ku health gundi insurance naye nga bw'obanga tewasasudde masannyalaze oyinza obutafuna gundi bw'obanga kwali kutugatta, and that plan is on being put up, but the health sector yebadde etandise naye yali teyinza kusooka security, yali teyinza kusooka nguudo. Kati we bakuzimbira eddwaliro eddungi nga tewali luguudo lugendayo otuukeyo otya? Kati n'olyoka osembyayo corruption. Naye ddala mu butuufu gwe atalina ssente wali osuubira okutakolinga corruption ng'ate oli mwavu? Uganda teyalina ssente nga toyinza kumala budde ngo otargetinga ba corruption. Already economy y'onfu toyinaamu ssente, kati ate ababba babbaki? Zimba economy bwewera, of course ababbi bajja kuba bazze, kati olwo otandike okudiringa ne corruption. Naye kati olinga agamba nti Uganda yali badde yasooka muzeeyi tafaayo, tafudde ku babbi ba ssente biki, nga economy yali nvundu billions. Simanyi, it is so amazing on how people don't want to use their brains to think. But remember, ngenda kibagamba ekindo ekibangambisiza nti nno siri joininga opposition lwakubanga mu NRM njizo okulowooza lwaki ebintu bikolebwa n'endaba n'okulaba waje bino genda ndaba abakola ebikyamu era sigenda kubeera ku saidi y'abakola ebikyamu. Katonda yatuwa amaanyi mu kuyimba era mu 7 natural platform netufuuka famous. Tukozese platforms zino bulungi, sijja zikozesa nze kudda okulwanyisa government. No, abantu ba bulijjo, siri politician, but I'm a strong Ugandan who must use my platform positively. Abantu ba Uganda tujja redirecting to the positive side okulaba nti nabo obulamu butereera. Naye bunaatereera butya? Tebujja tereera nga ate olwanyisa alina kyoyagala. No, bujja tereera nga okola n'oyo alina kyokola kyoyagala. Oyagala okuwabula Museveni ate togenzeeyo wuwe, kati onaamuwabula otya? Oyagala okumulaga ababbi ne evidence ogirina, oyina genda gyali. So n'olwekyo awo mbadde nziramu mmwe ababadde beesaaliisa mbu Museveni yangoba, ekyo kiri fine ne bwangoba, but you will never have me. Ekyo kirina worse, kiruma okusinga. So now finally ngenda kwogerako ku music which is my most important. Now again, the reason lwaki nali nsirise lwakuba nti obudde bwali butuuse. Obudde bwatuuse nendaba nti tewakyalina kinene kyakulwanyisa, abasajja amaanyi gaggwamu. Nemanya nti abavubuka because actually my problem was misleading young people. That was my problem. Me and Jose Chameleon and Bobby Wine, we really had to work hard as us. Okay? We worked hard. We are still working hard as individuals. So the most important message, number one, we should carry to the young people of Uganda is work hard as an individual before you wait or call for help. Government tena kintu kyesobola kuleetera muvubuka naye yeteekawo embeera eziri geno nti security yiyo, ti enguudo ziizo, ti amasanyalaze gaabo, olugwe ne weeyiiya. Juzi wano nali njogera ne kusaasira nangamba baina umeme zino zitransforme ziba zionoonese, waliwo abavubuka beekwata ne baziddira ne bazifuula bino ebyuma ebyokya welding. Be bavubuka abayiiya. Teri muntu yenna wallahi government ne bwe zirikyuka zitya teriyo tebakikulimba n'aleeta ssente n'azikuteera mu nsawo. So I call upon my colleagues we are very strong, we have big followings, but tetudisa, let us not mislead our followings or our followers because of selfish reasons. You may have a good reason as Bobby Wine to say that the president has been on for long, but don't misrepresent that reason. Interpretation y'ekikyamu kyolaba nti akoze kiyinza okumisleading abavubuka. Let us teach these young people nti nno bannange buli muvubuka yenna bw'avaayo asooka kutoba n'otoba kubanga naffe tukyatoba. I have recruited so many people, so many young people from People Power. The reason why they say they are changing or they've changed is mainly because they send him Sajja wa mazima. Of course, agamazima ngamanyi. Because wemba andia nabo ku 10 luno lwemba nina. Ekizibu kye basinza okufuna eyo gye babadde tebagabana. Don't be surprised banange twabagamba zijukira wano nga balonda ba LC ne tubagamba ebyokusimba line twabalaze nti no Ugandans are waking up. Those who are old people abalonda ba LC basimba line NRM nekuba. Kati you're still underlooking echa 79% abavubuka nga nabo basimbye eki line. Ekinuma ye expectation Joshubira abaana abo okubeera nabo mbwencha government ekyuka. Omwana amala emyaka 5 gyonna nga focusinze ku bya politics. Ekifo ky'okufocusinga mu katale mu wino. Ekifo ky'okufocusinga ku nnimiro. Preach work. That's how the three of us have become who we are. Preach friendship. That's how we became friends to all the Kaihuras, the Who's, who helped you to be who you are today. That's how I became a friend of a son of a president. Because bwe tuba tukola kusemberera abalina abali obulungi tusobole okuyiga babikola batya tusobole okubikola. That is the message I expect Joseph Mayanja to give, and I expect Bobby Wine to give. So that our young people don't think that when governments change, that's when you get rich. That's wrong. When Badem pulling out, when I pulled out, I resorted to music. And I've done some very nice music. Mbadde nzimba album yange, because every musician today, your best option today is to try and record music. Because the world is going to change permanently. Oyinza okwebuuza n'okusirika n'ensirikira ki n'ensirika because nalina okutuula back on the ground and recalculate how I'm going to be able to exist with family and dependents, showbiz, signing musicians, record company nalina akagitandika. How are we going to live in this new normal? Because it is the reason why they call it a new normal is because it is a permanent change of the world. It will never be the same again. Because new measures stepping in, new measures ezo zigenda kufuuka permanent. Ebintu bwe twabikolanga ebisinga si bwe tujja okuddamu bikola. Someone had to sit back and plan. So if you're a musician, atatudde oba entertainer, oba omuntu yenna ali mu bintu ebikwatagana ne arts and culture, notatula back okudda ku drawing board olowooze buto ekintu okitandisa otya kiddamu kitya. That's a big mistake. So that's the major reason lwaki era nalina okusittinga back. Kati gye emirimu gyange ebiri nga gina ate ekyokusatu nti mu kutuula back ne recording album yange ejja kufuluma most likely ngezaako okulaba period eno eya October, November, December eyinza okuba embi COVID wise. So I've planned for the album okufuluma after presidential elections. Nga tulina ne ku hope eya release, nga tulina ne ku hope eya vaccine. Because vaccine okolebwa yetaga a minimum of 1 year and 8 months. So tukyagenda. I can guarantee you tukyagenda. Mwabayimbi abategesi ababadde mu press conference mukwano gwange Abitex yankubidde yesterday nangamba tugenda kutuula nemugamba okutuula mutule naye omuntu gwe mu addressing ensonga bifu. You can't now be demanding to open events mubaziwe SOPs nga olaba n'amasomero ne kanisa first priority kanisa sinzi gule gwate ogamba bakuwe SOPs ez'ebivulu. Panange, let us try to act normal. Let us try to act as mature people. Tuberenga abantu abakulu abalowooza. Muli ku TV mbu simanyi ffe abayimbi naffe batulowoozeeko. Babalowoozeeko batyanga ne kanisa omuzikiti masikiti tennaba kugulwawo tebannabagiwa SOPs. So baganda bange bali mu entertainment industry mbegayiridde tubadde nga tukola nnyo tuli basanyufu Katonda yatukwatako naye era ebyembi bibaawo kusaawa eno tuli mu kizikiza tukirize naye tu devising engeri zetusobola okuadvisinga government bwesobola otukwatirako mu buzibu bwaffe okusinga okwefuula abasirusiru as if we don't see what is happening mbu batukolere SOPs is guidelines batugulirewo kudiru ki sagala nze nagaana okukolagana n'obubondo okuba muli bangi nga mutambuza ensonga ensiru. You'd rather be few but with the right reasoning than being many with the wrong reasoning. Twekwate wamu ngera bwe twalisaanidde okuba ng'abayimbi tuyiye engeri gye tusobola okusaba mu gavumenti naffe etukwatireko mu kufiirwa kwaffe. That is a better direction nga tubaako akyakolebwa dda because nawulira ne minisita akyogerako. Bwe mba mulina ebibuuzo byonna mugende mu ministry eya culture. Madamu Peace Mutuuzo ndowooza yakyali responsible oba naye waliyo ne PS ne mukyala Honorable Nachiwala. They can give you these answers. Fraternity ya music, fraternity ya entertainment tuleme kulabika nga bajegajega abali awo abagenda omuwawa. Abamu babuziza lwaki saayogera ku mateeka tera ku microwave. Amateeka agatekebwawo nagogerako naye sajja public because game plan yange yali yakusigala out of public. Naye nga nze omu kubaali mu meetings ezaali very important ezatuusa ebintu ebyo we bituuse ngera nali nkola natulako ne Basilva Kyagulanyi Babujingo Kaye oba ye Kaye Kaweesa baloya ne tutuula ne tudevising a way forward era way forward egenze bulungi nnyo. Only that not all the time ntimba njagala okubeera mu front. No, there's a period when I really did not want to be in the front. So ekyo kirungi baga standinga, but I'm not sure because tebanatuwa written document nti amateeka baga standinga okugayimiriza. It needed a written document, not a minister's word on TV, because omuyimbi bw'anaakola ensobi ng'akyayinza okulya bwabanga document teri physical nti no okay twayimiriza amateeka otherwise abali in charge ekyo kintu ne meeting na kyemphasizingako nembasaba please get a written document that shows and share those copies with musicians so that they can share those copies with their lawyers to know where they stand. Get a document that is official that says that the ministry in charge oba omuntu yatekawo amateeka yagayimiriza, otherwise muli ku firimu era muli kubiri ebyekito ebyebbugumu. Yes, music industry yetaaga amateeka, ekyo twavadde nga tukibagamba kuba omuntu ali organized. Amateeka ga organizing omuntu mu straight line. Usually abantu ababeera mu straight line business wise they never go wrong, they always achieve. Ate ne fraternity yaffe kati tufunye covid for example, tuli mbizibu tetukola naye onoonya wootandikira okugamba gavumenti etuwe ssente etuyambe nga tolabawo. Kale yes mu fraternity yaffe erimuko obusente bwebadde contributing towards the economy in such a way that if the government had organized the music fraternity earlier, it would have been 15 times more the money they earn as government of Uganda. But it did not. It did not because no one showed interest in showing government. It did not because there was no Bebe Cool, there was no Afrigo, there was no Bobby Wine, there was no Chameleon to push until when there came Chameleon, there came Afrigo, there came Bebe Cool, there came Bobby Wine, and the industry neretamu omuliro. Omuliro guno oguzze ne music n'atuuka ku level n'asapaasinga politics. Then government neryoka eraba so eno fraternity tusobola ogijjamu ssente tugiorganizing erabika erimu ku bantu. So now it has come out to organize it. So bweba egenda kuorganizinga waliwo n'amateeka agali mu parliament agagigayidinga. Nawulira abayimbi bawoza fe tebatwebuuzaako tebatuyita bannange. Waliwo etteeka erikkiriza minisita okutuuza akakiiko okulonda akakiiko ke n'akatuuza ne kakola amateeka. Eryo etteeka weeriri erimukkiriza okulonda akakiiko ke. So teyeetaaga kutubuuza. So mujjukire nti abayimbi abasinga tebali lant. Ebintu ebisinga kyovolaba nti no nalina lucky obutavaayo kwogera. Kuba te bw'ovaayo n'oyogera nga banno ate boogera ebyopposite kiswaza. But lucky enough, finally all the musicians basanyufu nti government kati etufokasinzeeko etutereeze. The question is, tutuule tuteese nayo etutereezezza etya? Obuzibu bwaffe buliwa? Kubanga ne government erina okumanya ki kyetereeza. Yes, tukkiriza entertainment industry tegina kyegimanyiiko, naye ate yeekozesa amateeka agagiweebwa parliament okukola amateeka. So kakati bw'obeera omuntu mukkakkamu omuntu mulamu ng'okonkona ku luggi lwa minisita tubadde twagala kunyumyako naawe wano mwakoze bukyamu ebitunyiga birala tetwalifuddeyo bbawa ssente naye singa mutuprotectinga ne tuba nga tufune ssente ne mutuyamba naffe ne tubeera bizinesi zaffe ne zibeera nga zitambula mu mateeka ne mutuyamba ne tuba nga tusobola okwebala ebintu bwebityo ne muteeseza ku platform eya mbuulira nange nkubuulire. So sigenda kuyimba nnyimba n'ovuma gavumenti n'ovuma abakozi ate n'ojja gavumenti yemu n'ogigamba simanyi toyina right enteekako mateeka. No, obuwayiro weebuli obukkiriza minisita okukola eyo gundi komiti ye. But it's good that twakkirizganyiza era waliwo komiti ey'abalooya eri mu kukola ne Bakyagulanyi ne Buju okulaba nti nno tuba advisinga ebizibu biri ki, kubanga okukola amateeka osinziira ku mulimu gw'omuntu. Omulimu gw'omuntu gulimu okukola ssente n'ebizibu byazo. Kati bo bayinza okulaba amayumba n'emmotoka naye nga tebamanyi bizibu biriyo. So we have advised, era nsuubira nti tiimu eyo efokasinze ku ky'okwadvisinga ki government. Now personal music nabagambye nkoze album, but the biggest issue that is there, nkola project ya TB, tusobodde okugenda amalwaliro mangi e Kampala getutaddeko TB tukebera abantu bannaye mbasaba mwekebeze TB mbasaba mwekebeze TB kubanga TB atta era TB yanzitidde omwana combined ne COVID. Twagenze ne Jinja nayo ne tugulawo mu malwaliro gonna, Jinja Main Hospital ne tugulawo they about 5 Nalufenya, Budondo, Bulindo, Bugembe, yonna ne tugulawo desk ezo buli andaba ng'olina omuntu wo ng'ayagala okukebera TB ogenda ku desk eyo ne bwe bakuwabuya enamba n'otukubira ffe ne tukulagirira waawo ogenda okebeza TB kwa bwereere n'obujjanjabi bwa bwereere. It is free testing for TB and it is free treatment for tuberculosis. Mukikole ng'obudde bukyali, bye bimu ku bintu nze nga Bebe Cool bye nsobola okwenyumirizaamu nti nkoledde Abannayuganda. Yes, natwala abaana waliwo benyamba ab'emitima naye kino kya nsi yonna. Kati project yange eya TB erina abayimbi be yasalawo okusupportinga. Era Gagamel mujjukira we nabasaba okuweereza. I asked you, so far I have 4 new talents. Tulina abayimbi ba mirundi ena bengenda okutandika okusigninga in the next 14 days. So tugenda kusigninga abayimbi abaana bange balungi nnyo. Of course, number 1 priority there is Edith K. Nina omukyalo omulala mupya bamuyita Jamal. Ninayo abalongo bavako. The record company yali enaatera okutandika naye COVID najja. We have all been affected in one way or another. Okay, so that very soon nja kubeera ne press conference where I'm going to unveil these artists. I'll be unveiling two pairs, one pair. That's two artists. And of course, we've already done recordings with these, the first couple. They are both female. We have already shot videos for them. We are continuing with the music, but we are careful because the process is now a bit tricky. So, fairly speaking, musically, that's how we're standing. I will also officially return for media to be able to do interviews. I know all my media personalities have called me for a long time to ask me to do clips, Bebe no interview, annually. I'm returning to the media from the 10th of September. From the 10th of September, njakuba nkomeo, and then we will be able now to see the real Bebe Cool, the real G, the real nigger in the house, you know. Grandpapa. So, in one way or another, njagala kubebaza. I want to thank you because I'm about to close in the next 2 minutes. I want to close by thanking all Ugandans who have been watching, all people who have been commenting. Yes, I can see some insults here from a few friends, but it's okay. It is the same freedom that you were given freedom to insult, though the president refused insulting. Let us focus on COVID. Let us go back. I beg of you, Ministry of Health, let us quickly go back to the point of awareness. We need to tell people what to eat, the things that are going to help them boost their immunity. We need to get onto that immediately to save Ugandans and to fight COVID. Mwenaba bloggers abali ebweru Rita Kagwa Kakensa, really kuchintu cha COVID, you've done a good thing. Don't stop. Nadala Rita Kagwa, you have always insisted, you have always posted banange to wakane. Let us disagree politically, but for COVID, let us agree and let us do the awareness together. It is too late. It is in the country. It is time to tell people what to do so that their bodies can fight the disease, so that less people go to the hospitals, because the hospitals are few. The capacity to feed those many people is not really in place. So I kindly request, before I even request anything else, let me thank the doctors. Aben Sambia, Dr. Raymond, webale nyo. I called you every hour in the night. Dr. Grace, our ICU, thank you so much. I know we lost the battle, but at least you showed me. The management of Zambia Hospital, I beg of you to look into why the reputation is negative. Because Ugandans are not talking well about the hospital. Please look into it. I may thank the doctors there, but I also have to tell you the truth. Dr. Raymond, again, I want to thank you. I also want to thank the doctors at Victoria Hospital. Thank you so much. Dr. Mtiaba Mkwano Gwange. And Victoria Hospital, Bukoto, that is former Kadik, thank you so much. Annette, you represent Nakasero Hospital. Annette, thank you so much because you kept with me on behalf of the hospital. Thank you so much. Njagala kwebaza Mama Narweiso, webale nnyo okunyambako, because of course nange ndi muntu. Mama Narweiso yankwatiddeko ku bills ezimu. Thank you so much, of course, on behalf of the president. I want to thank you so much. But I'm praying to the government of Uganda, Ramzei Nkusaba. Ministry Mbasaba, target yonna edeko health sector. Ambulance zetaga oxygen. Twetaga sinti buli muntu alina okuleta ambulance bannange. Ambulance zetaga okubanga ziri packed in such a way nti omuntu ne bwebefunya accident ate omulwadde tafa. Kubanga hampu hiyo yasumuludde okufa kw'omwana wange. Yes, we are now focusing on the health system and we are going to be behind you, Madam Acheng. I am 100% behind you because so far so good. Naye mbegairidde tufokasinge tulabe engeri Mzee Museveni esente tuzizze mu malwaliro ne system. Ninayo ne idea je nalabye, why doesn't the Ministry of Health n'ekibiina ekitwala abasawo lwaki temulowooza mu kuprivatizing a nursing system eya Uganda? Because the biggest problem we are having is the nursing system. Katugambe nti nurse aba yeeyisizza bubi nga abalwadde bonna bwe batera okugamba. Nurse yalitidde nnyo bw'aba ava mu kampuni gye banaasobola omuwaabira kuba gye bampangisizza. Naye kati bannansi olwokuba bali attached ku malwaliro omuli abasawo nabo bekweka under the doctors. Kati when nurses do mistakes, we blame the doctors. Nurse ne bamugamba nti nno omulwadde oyo muteekeko eddagala ku ssaawa 2. Nurse najja n'alimuteekako ku ssaawa 4:30. Kyokka nga doctor yakoze omulimu gwe. The doctor has done their part. President Museveni amalwaliro ward zigende mu camera. Why don't we have cameras in the wards? All those are opportunities for young people in Uganda. Abana agula cameras ne bazinstallinga ne companies ezina monitoringa.